Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of Printing's Alive, my podcast where I'm the host. I'm in charge. I get to ask the questions. And today we have a guest on. You know, all my guests are special. You're probably sick of hearing me say that, but that's how I feel, so too bad. We got Aaron Montgomery on today. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Or good day. I don't know if morning kind of dates it, but we'll leave it like that. And actually, Aaron's been running a podcast way longer than I have. Is it 13 years now?
Yep. We're next year in February, we'll start our 14th season.
Wow. And you want to tell everyone the name? I didn't want to break it.
Yeah,
I wanted you to say
absolutely. Yeah. So my podcast is called the Two Regular Guys Podcast, and clearly tells what we talk about. But no, we actually talk about apparel decorating. We've been talking to different people across the apparel decorating printing world for 13 years now, and love it, and super cool to be able to. Warren's actually been on our podcast before and is coming back on, so yeah, we get to chat and just have a great time together.
So for everyone watching, if you're listening, just picture me smiling, and it might be a little difficult because I don't smile all the time. No, I do, but this morning, and maybe it's just coincidence that Aaron's on. But I am jumping up and down today. I don't know if I've been this excited in the last 3 years. Oh, he's got the pom-poms up. You got to go watch it now. You got to go watch it. But I haven't been this excited in, I'm going to say the last 3 years. And I've been doing some fun stuff, but it's been some consulting and working with people. And I think I'm really a hands-on guy who likes to get into the dirt and hold things and touch things. And let me just tell you, so I started this t-shirt shop called the Print Whisper Shop to go along with the Print Whisper and everything else. And the idea behind the shop was really just to make a quality t-shirt shop on the 4 elements of my life that I've been living, which is not in any order, but fishing, print, mental health, and AI. And, make people smile, give them a reason to communicate. And since I put it up 1 week ago, right before Printing United, and I rushed to get it up because I was going to go talk to all my print peeps and get them to have a look and promote it because the t-shirt sayings are great. So I went there. We'll talk about that after. But this morning, I wake up to a lady who ordered 6 t-shirts. And not only that, the 6 t-shirts are the ones I actually really like. And I was just blown away because she obviously saw something touched her. She liked something. I will add on that the part that I like the most about what I'm doing is I'm giving 10% of the profit away to the Make-A-Wish Foundation for children. So I don't know what it is that made her want to buy the t-shirts. It could have been the slogan. It could have been all the fun colors because there is no boring colors because we are in print. I am a colorful guy. Anyways, I don't know what it is or anything. I just want to say I am so happy today that I'm just so happy. And you're in the t-shirt business, and now I'm in the t-shirt business, and I'll shut up in a minute. You could talk, but even when I went to Printing United and I'm doing I didn't even think about apparel decoration and print, and it's the world I'm in. I guess I just can't get out of print no matter what I do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's interesting because I think in apparel decorating, we've had different seasons, in the 25 years I've been in the space where we do feel a little disconnected from the larger print world. And that was a knock for many years on the former SGIA. And so I think it's super cool how, the convergence that they talk about at Printing United so much coming together, right? We get a person that knows a ton about print that can easily slide into the t-shirt space. And it's super cool to see what you're doing and what you're bringing to the table. And I love the creativity too, that t-shirts being a 3D medium, right? Oh. It's such a cool opportunity to design a little bit more wild, I guess is the only way to put it.
Yeah. And design really is whatever anyone wants it to be.
Yeah.
Right. Like my designs are just slogans for starters. Yeah. And you know what? Even last week, coming back from Printing United, first of all, Printing United, I was changing my t-shirt every 90 minutes so that people could see the different slogans in the t-shirt and how do you get it out there. And I'm giving printed cards. But on the plane on the way home, I'm sitting there and I was wearing my t-shirt that says, "My anxiety has anxiety." And I kid you not, everybody walking down the aisle, because everybody looks when they walk down the aisle. You could see people when they're reading because their eyes are doing this.
Yeah.
And as she approached me, I just started laughing. And I tapped her on the arm and I said, "You like my T-shirt, don't you?" And she goes, "Oh, I do." And then I gave her a card. I said, "You can go buy them over here." You
Nice.
know,
There you go. I
so
love it.
so when you have something you're doing that you like, well, me particularly, I will talk to anyone about anything,
Yeah.
right? And it's really, I guess the thing I love most about the T-shirts is the phrases because it's making people smile.
Yeah.
And the world's been in a really messed up place for a long time, and we're not going to get into it. But there's a lot of people who aren't smiling enough.
Yeah.
And I think the more
Agreed.
people that smile, it's contagious. And the smile to the smile to the smile makes us fun again, as opposed
Yeah.
to what everyone's doing now, which is just screaming at each other.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Exactly.
But wow. So tell me, how has it been to, because I'm going to get there one day, but how is it to be on a podcast for 13 years, soon to be 14? You're almost like cutting edge. You thought I was going to say old, eh? But no, cutting edge.
Some days I feel old too. It's okay. No, it's really cool, to be honest with you, because um, honestly, the story that we tell, which is what happened when we started this thing, I had moved to a different state. My good friend Terry Combs, who I do the show with, he and I used to kind of hang out at lobby bars or different places eating chicken wings and talking about the industry. And we're like, hey, how can we keep this going? And I said to him, hey, Terry, how about we do a podcast? And he says to me, oh, yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's do it. And then he says, but what's a podcast? And my reply was, well, I don't really know. I actually listen to like a volleyball podcast right now. So I have a couple of ideas, but let's see what happens. And I think like anything, you try something, you put your toe in the water. We originally started as like a 30-minute podcast for every 2 weeks. And after 1 month, that changed right away because we're like, what are we going to talk about for 30 minutes? Next thing you know, we're like, oh, crap, it's been 60, 75 minutes now. So, yeah, it is really cool to just see how people embrace it. We've had over the course of our 13 years, many people that are starting podcasts or have their own podcasts. And they're like, I don't know, we'd like to come on your show, but we're a podcast. I'm like, yeah, come on. The more content we have, the more people that are sharing out in the world, the better off we're going to be. So it is cool to be in a space where we get to kind of be a little bit pioneers. And I love watching what people are doing now. I'm learning a ton. Our podcast is what it is. And I think that's kind of what people love about it. But, different people do it different ways. And I love learning all that stuff.
Yeah, well, that's life, right? Life is you learn something
Yeah.
every day. I'm going to make another joke, like just learning about the printing. I am in such awe, and if I keep going back to it, it's because I am in such awe. But it is so amazing. And the other thing that was amazing was, and I said it yesterday, and I hope he's listening. But Ronnie Goodwin, who I did not know before, who has become a I'll say poster child, but it's more like a poster grandfather because he's a little older. But I jumped in front of him to promote my T-shirt at the show, saying, "You must like T-shirts." And after I stopped talking, I said, "So what do you do?" And he goes, "Well, I sell T-shirts for 40 years." And I just started laughing. And then he was talking, and he took me around. And that's really more than anything that was exciting was he took me around to meet people. He introduced me to people who make the machines, who make transfers, who make T-shirts, different processes. He didn't know me from Adam, and he didn't have to. And that's what's really nice about the world of print. There are so many good, kind people.
Yeah.
And maybe he thought I was super young and getting into it, and he wanted to do the right thing and make sure that, he keeps the young people in it. And I say that because for us elders, and I'll put myself up there because I crossed a certain mark this year, we need to work on the young people because that is an issue in our industry. I'm sure you've heard it on the podcast too. Where are we going to hire people? What are we going to do?
Sure.
What's your take on the young people and how do we get them in, or why are they not in with us?
Yeah. Yeah. It is a huge topic. And, I think what kind of happens, at least in the T-shirt printing space, was there was a little bit of a changing of the guard. And I think some of the old guard were holding on very tightly. That I kind of joke that a lot of our industry is a bunch of old hippies that were out there bootlegging stuff back in the 70s, right? We've had some people on like that tell us some amazing stories of those days. And
The good old days.
the good old days, absolutely. And so I think, people kind of saw, yeah, apparel decorating was traditionally a very analog space, right? You have screen printing, which is very analog. Embroidery were the top two ways to decorate a garment, and those are very analog things, right? And so as the young people were coming in, they're going, "Oh, that I don't want to mess with a needle and thread. I don't want to mess with this messy ink and trying to make screens and stuff like that." And so I think that was the kind of the first part of it. And then the second part of it was the young people just weren't focused on, right? Again, the older guard was kind of holding things very close to their chest. And but I think finally there's that opening up. Organizations like Skills USA. If people aren't familiar with it, definitely go check that out. I was fortunate enough to get to run the sublimation competition at the national event for several years. And it was really cool to see these young people getting excited about our industry. And so I do think, kind of, I don't know exactly why, but I'll tell you the solution is to just go, how can you help, right? Go to a local school and or invite them to, if you're a screen printer, if you're a garment decorator, if you're a printer, invite them into your shop and tell them how it works and show them the cool things, right? Like we do it every day. I don't know how much you've ever seen the actual screen printing process, Warren, but
Mhm.
even to this day, when that last screen comes up and you see the finished graphic, it's like, man, that is freaking cool. And I've done it for 25 years. So yeah, I think showing, just opening up the doors, I think will invite the young people in it, and they will get that bug that we all got. And, once you're in, it's like Hotel California, right?
Oh my God, you're talking to me. I can't get out. I'm trying.
Exactly.
Now I just got
I'm
into
with
a
you.
new thing. It's just got to go learn another new. And what you say is so right. I think it's a few things. I think the industry's a little old. I think the old timers, whether they like it, or the legends, call them what you want, were a little slow to giving up some space.
Yep.
I think today, even as I do some consulting, people keep their cards pretty close to the chest,
Yep.
not very open about certain things. And then when you do that, you're not encouraging people. You're not making it an open environment. You're making it more tougher, less communication.
Yep.
So I think today that the management, and I'm talking private, excuse me, privately owned companies. Forget the big equity
Yep.
owned and all that, because nobody really cares there anyways, for the most part, because I know people
Sure.
are screaming at me as I say that right now. I'm thinking of one person in particular. But we got to be more open. We got to know that we got to share. 100% of nothing is nothing. I've
Yep.
seen too many people want to control it all. And when you want to be the lone star, things tumble a little bit. I think we have to train people more. We have to engage with them. What you said about bringing people in, if you listen back to a good part of my podcasts, you will hear me say what I used to do was I teamed up with a trade school in Montreal.
Nice.
And once a year, twice a year, they would bring in a class. We would I would break them into three. Me and two other people would give full tours. We would walk them on the plank of the presses as it's running, and it's
Yeah.
and then they watch white paper. And what you said about the last screen, people have no idea about any kind of print. They just see what they see around them every day, and they have no idea. So you go to the front of a 56-inch press, and you're putting in a sheet that's almost bigger than them, white, and at the end it comes out 6 colors, spot UV, reticulated, and all this other stuff, and they're just going, whoa, right?
Yep.
And then you take them around to the bindery and to other machines, and you're, whoa. And at the end of the meeting, I thank them all for coming. I say to them, hey, if anyone's going to continue on with print because that's what you've been studying, you call me before you call anyone else. I want to talk to you before my competitors, and that's why you're here. And then I would give them a brochure, and I tell them, go home and give this to your parents just in case they buy print.
Yeah.
Always selling, right?
There you go. Yes.
Selling
exactly.
future employees, selling their parents for print. But the truth is, our industry, without our industries, apparel and print, commercial labor, the world doesn't operate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stand still. And I don't know why other people aren't screaming that with me, because we need to let the world know how important we are.
Yeah.
As opposed to we're just here as I don't even like the word commodity. I don't use it. But if we're here to service you and you need it tomorrow, you need to pay the price.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And I think, speaking to that point, it does come down to, I mean, just watching you talk about this order of 6 t-shirts, right? Like that's super cool, but it's also like got you in this state of passion where, I know you will go talk to anybody, but it comes from this level of passion, right? Because if you went up and talked to somebody you didn't really care about, you would probably be able to make a sale one time, maybe a couple times, right? The rest of us, we would fall flat on our face. And so the fact of the matter is, get excited about what you are doing because it is freaking cool. You might do it every day, and so it kind of becomes second nature to you. But anybody in the print space, yeah, we're taking something that's blank, is a commodity like you talked about, and we're turning it into something that has value just by adding some ink to it, or whatever that embellishment is.
Oh, absolutely. First of all, people buy from me so that I go away. They don't buy from me because they necessarily like me. They buy from me to shut me up and then I leave. And you know what? I don't care why you buy from me. Just buy from me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And that's a good reason. Shut me up and send me away. And the more, you know what? The more you buy, the longer I'll stay away. I'll make that deal with anybody listening.
I love that.
When you talk about passion, oh my God, I'm loving this conversation. But when you talk about passion, so I'll tell you, in the hundreds of presentations I've done when I had my company, we were selling. Is that vodka in there? It's a little early, no?
A little early for that. Just straight water this morning.
Well, if you're like me and you don't go to bed, it's not too early.
Okay. All right.
No, but but when you talk about passion, and I think about all the hundreds of presentations I've done when I had my company to prospective clients and pitches, the one thing I always walked away with was them saying to me, I've never met anybody as passionate about print as you. Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean I got all the orders, because if I got all the orders, I probably wouldn't be here. I'd be vacationing on a beach somewhere fishing. But that one comment kept me coming back. It's like, I hate golf, but what I know from golf is you have a miserable game and you got a good shot on the 18th hole and you can't wait to play again tomorrow. Right? So yep. Print was the same thing. It just, I might not have got the order, but the fact that I did something that made them smile, made them laugh, made them notice how I love what I do, how I love my team, how I love building great culture. It's off the charts. And what's really cool about that, when you're a leader, and when I say leader, I'll change that. When you are the head of the company, because leader means different things to different people, and you go back, or you're bringing people with you and you're excited and you're passing it on, they can't do anything else but be excited because it's contagious. And if you're heading up, and if you're a leader or you're heading up something and you're in a shitty mood all the time and you're miserable and you're not getting excited, don't expect your team to be excited.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's so important. I personally get to work with a lot of small business owners, and it really is that, right? It's like whatever you bring to the table, that's what's going to be mirrored on the other side from your people. And really, honestly, even the people around you, right? If you've got a crummy attitude, like you talked about, your vendors are going to have a crummy attitude too, right? Your customers may have a crummy attitude too, right? Like it is pretty amazing how just being passionate, just, smiling, just having fun, like nobody thinks that I'm actually a cheerleader, right? But I have the pom-poms as a way to just have some fun. Let's celebrate a little bit more and see what happens, right? And I can't find a time where I put myself out there, I was passionate about it, I celebrated, and things didn't work out, right? It maybe didn't work out in that exact moment, but in hindsight, everything's worked out. So I think just coming to the table with that expectation of, and I think that's what, looked, at least from the outside looking in, seems to be your recipe too, with the way you go about it, right? You're coming to the table expecting to get that order, and you make a connection, you make them smile, you have some fun. How's that a bad day?
Yes, and you know what? It's first of all, if you're doing sales, you have to go in expecting the order.
Yep.
Expecting, not in a egotistical way, just that's your motivation for doing what you're doing. So if you don't go in expecting to win, then you're not going to have, if you don't have the attitude, you don't have a chance.
Yeah.
But going in all the time, it's really about planting seeds, because, well, in a few years ago, they would say that it was 10 paddles before you get somewhere with someone.
Yeah.
Since COVID, it's probably 13 to 14 now because people have gone into lockdown hiding
Yeah.
and letting them out there. But as you do, and the more you do, it's a fuel. It builds you.
Yeah.
If I know I did a good job and I didn't get it, I'm just more revved up to go in and do it again, as
Yeah.
opposed to being down. If you're down and you think negatively, you are negative. It's kind of like, I think about this when I was driving a motorcycle, and I'm happy to say my parents are happy I don't drive one anymore, especially because it was like a ninja. But I always had to go fast.
Yeah.
But, on the bike, you're driving, you're going to go where you're looking. And when you're on a turn and you're getting down on your knee, and if you're not looking where you're going and you look the other way, you're going to crash.
Yeah.
And it's no different with anything else that you're doing. You need to be looking where you're going. You have to have your eyes set on the end, and you got to give it your all.
Yeah.
And how many times have I not won where I really did win because it came back after? We can't be short-sighted, and no one should be short-sighted in what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
Because otherwise,
and
it's just
Yes, exactly. I'm the same way. Here's the other part that I heard in something you said a little bit earlier as well, because we're talking about passion here and taking that and where you're looking, all that kind of fun stuff. But you said the word fuel in there as well. And I think that's one of the things that I've found to be most important for people is, what is your fuel? I ask people a lot, like, why did you start your business? Working with a small business owner. And, the gut reaction is to make money. And I'm like, great, but why did you start this business? Because the reality is there's a lot of easier ways to make money. You can go get a job. You can work the 9 to 5, clock in and clock out and be done. Right. But as a business owner, as people that have passion for what they're doing, it's who you are. It's what you become. And so I think really getting deeper into why, right? Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, is one of my favorites. And, in our success group, which is my consulting business, we talk about our reason, because our reason has to be bigger than any excuses we have for not going and making the sales call or doing the things that, right? And so if our reason's big enough. And so that's one of the areas that I really love looking at is, why you do what you do. What's that fuel for you? And again, you might, get a no 13, 14 times, whatever that is. Right. And that's a good thing, right? The no is just leading to the next yes, but you got to have that fuel to get you through those valleys. And, again, for me, I believe that all just starts with kind of what we were put on this earth to do. What's your passion? What are you good at? That type of thing. So,
yeah, I'm smiling because, you said, you might get a no. So when I think back to when I started in print and whatever, so I got into it and then I'm sitting there. Actually, I was doing other stuff. It didn't work. I'm sitting at home. My old man had a small shop. And one day he just said to me, just why don't you get off your ass and come in and do something? He says, I'm not telling you to stay here. I just don't like the fact that you're sitting at home. Didn't know that I was on the phone looking to do things, but I said, okay, fine, I'll come in. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going in the back because I'm not getting dirty. I wasn't an ink guy. I was an office guy. But I went in and I sat down and I took out something that some people might not know what it was because it's history, but it was the Yellow Pages. It was a book about this big. Actually, it was the Yellow Pages were the first people to print in color, right? They were doing color printing. I mean, you might not be happy, but it was the escort section of the Yellow Pages that was printed in color first, and then everything followed. But I took out the Yellow Pages and I opened it up and I just put my finger down and I said, I'm going to call. And I made a phone call to that company. Happened to be a retail store that sold women products and hair dyes. Anyways, I called the guy and he says, yeah, I need labels. And I went down there to see him. And I go in and I'm like looking around and like, I didn't need a wig at the time, but I could have used one now. And told me what he needed and I quoted it and I got the order, $2,700. I to this day, remember, I went back to the office dancing. Woohoo, got an order. This is for me. Put it through, got it in. And what did I do as the eternal salesman? I went, $270, $2,700. My commission is $270, 270 times 5 times 52. I'm going to make $73,000 this year.
Yeah.
Well, it was 3 months before I got another order.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about print at the time, but I kept going. And then every time I would get an order, it was the juice to go farther. The fact that it was my own place, you couldn't stop me from talking. Get into an elevator, 52 floors, it closes, I turn around, I got a captive audience, right? You better be working on your elevator pitch. It's not a joke when they tell you to know and be comfortable right away. When someone says, what do you do? And I would turn around and it would like half the elevator would think I'm an idiot. And the other half would be like, oh man, this guy's pretty good. Like, it's like the circus almost. And I'd say to them, folks, it's my own business. I have no choice. My kids are depending on me. And turn it into something light because everyone in the elevator had a kid.
Yeah.
Right. When I was selling and I was sick in the hospital for a little while, when I came out, I had a cane and I was a lot of stuff. Everywhere I went, I was looking for a sympathy order. Help a guy who can't walk. Then my wife tells me she's pregnant. It's like, listen, we're having a kid. I want to feed the kid. Could I get an order? Right. Mother said, you don't ask, you don't get. And I would say that to people. Could I have the order? And they'd say, wow, we got to get other quotes. I said, I know, but my mother told me if I don't ask, I'm not going to get it. Are the other people asking? Do they want it? Just to put thoughts into their head about the other people.
Yeah.
Oh, it's and listen, you get it. You're doing this for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. You just gave us a sales masterclass right there in 30 seconds, right? That's super cool.
Shit, I didn't even negotiate a price. That's the other problem. I love what I do. I think I spend more time talking to people and making suggestions that there's no reason for them to call me back and pay me.
Yeah, well, I do the same thing. So it's, I did have a mentor one time tell me that I've really hung on to for most of my life is that you can't outgive the universe. So I just, I stopped negotiating the price, but not a great salesperson.
No, but you know what? On a forget the money note, what a good feeling when you could do something nice for someone or help someone get ahead. Like, I mean, I'm not even joking now. I'm saying there's nothing better inside the system when you do good for somebody.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's what makes it, kind of when we come from that passion area, when we come from that place of, knowing what you do well, right? Like you very clear that, you have that ability that was, probably an internal innate ability to make those connections, right? I know that just being able to come up with on the fly the things about, I've got to feed the kids and I can't walk and all of those really cool things, that's leading into your strength, right? Somebody that is maybe not as extroverted or doesn't have those strengths, they try to go and copy you exactly, they're going to fail miserably and not be happy, right? So they have to find, for me, I am not great at that kind of thing. I'm more of a relationship guy. And so my foray into sales, if we go back to our original sales, I was actually a delivery driver for a company that sold digital labels. So that I actually am in print way back in the day. And the one sales guy this company had quit 2 weeks into my tenure at this company as the delivery driver. I just happened to be driving back and forth to Hewlett Packard in Colorado Springs, dropping off labels. And I figured out who the purchasing agent was. Fortunately, he was a younger guy like me. And I would just talk to him, to build a relationship with him. We would go to have a liquid lunch every once in a while. And
in the days when liquid lunches were popular.
That's right. And I'm not much of a golfer either, but he was. And so I would go out and golf with them. And I learned for me, it was about building those relationships to where I just got POs, right? I'm an order taker. I'm not a salesperson. But I think a lot of times people don't slow down long enough to kind of figure out who you are. And we just look at it and go, oh my gosh, Warren's so amazing. He's so successful. I'm just going to copy what he does. No, take inspiration from what Warren does and then figure out how that's going to work for you. And that's what I found to be a successful recipe for me.
Well, you have to, because you never really know what's on the inside, right?
Yeah,
and you don't know
absolutely.
Listen, I'll tell you, I sit here and I do what I do. Inside, there's a good part of the time my inside is turning over and rotting with a bit of fear before I go in.
Yeah.
Right. I try not to think too much about certain things, and I guess I have a knack for getting away with doing things, but there's an inside that I could tell you is a little shaky.
Yeah.
And until you get going, or even after you get going, you just don't know. But the talk to anyone takes over more.
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
And then all of it doesn't come without learning.
Yep.
So what do I tell everyone is the biggest thing I've learned over the years in my life? To wear smaller shoes because they're easier to get out of my mouth when they get stuck,
I
right?
love it. I love it.
Because with everything I say, and that's a lot of funny stuff, I sometimes might cross the line. But if I do, I own it because I'm not there to insult or make anyone feel bad.
Sure.
But you can't always
Yeah.
predict what somebody's going to say or do,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I love
But
it.
talking about going out, you just have to put yourself out there. First of all, you're going to
Yep.
be in sales, any type of sales. You got to find a way to make yourself a little comfortable to put out there,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Even sending notes before you go somewhere, or
Yeah.
asking a
Great idea.
question, or finding something common, or
Yeah.
right, because to get the relationship, you got to get in front of someone the first time.
Exactly.
So even though people think they're not that person, they are to some degree.
Exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a huge mindset guy. And so I think exactly what you're saying, right? You've got to take that first step, right? And I will go so far as to say, if you don't have a little fear inside of you, if you don't have a little bit of that stomach churning, it's probably not important enough for you to, waste any time on, right? We have to push up against our comfort zone. Like I said, I'm not that real, I'm not going to turn around in an elevator, right? I would love to be that guy, but it just is outside of my wheelhouse right now. I haven't taken enough steps to get to that level. Now, I will have a conversation on an elevator now, where before I would hide in the corner, phone in the face, kind of thing. And so it's taking those little, like you said, smaller shoes, but smaller steps as well. So that way you aren't shoving a big thing in your mouth and going, you can't go from being, I'm not an extrovert, into all of a sudden
Yeah.
I'm selling, in front of 1,000 people every day. It's not going to be successful. You're going to have those fears and those feelings. And so what's the first thing you can do? Right. And so maybe it's talk to the person next to you. Maybe it's, have a little bit deeper conversation with an acquaintance and be willing to say, oh, and by the way, I make t-shirts, do you have any need? Just those little baby steps. And then the next time you're going to lead with that in your conversation, maybe. Right. And so I think it's fun to see those progressions. But people are so busy comparing themselves to everybody else that they fall into that trap that I'm not successful because I don't do the things that Aaron does or Warren does or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So things I've noticed, people, because people are funny, right? I'm not saying strange, although there are a few, but we're funny in our ways. So I walk a lot in the morning. When I wake up, I go out, I go for a walk, and
Nice.
everyone I pass, I say good morning to.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say good morning back, and there's a lot of people that say nothing back. And I almost want to scream, good morning, are your headphones on? Just to get a reaction, or someone sitting in their car, and I jump on the window and I just give a morning. And they get startled, but then they go, good morning. It's just that interaction. I walk into the elevator, and today, back when I started, there were no phones, right?
Yeah.
Or they were, but they were expensive, so people weren't always on them. And today you go into an elevator and everyone's looking at their feet because they're texting. So if I could give everybody just one little thing that you could say when you walk in, if you walk in and everyone's texting, you walk in, you go, are you all texting each other? And you know what's going to happen? The elevator's going to crack up. And then you're going to either make a joke or say what you want, or just laugh and wish everyone a great day. It doesn't take much. People are looking also, right, for that little excitement. I went out of my comfort zone last year, and I went and I signed up and I did improv, 2 levels of improv. And I got to go back and do the third. I just got busy, and when I signed up, it was really funny because a friend of mine said, oh, you're so funny. You're so funny. I said, yeah, you're the only one who laughs. And then you have to be drunk. But I went and I signed up. I went and signed up. Why? For a couple of reasons. One, I wanted something to do during the week. My kids are out. I'm single. If anyone's listening, but I'm out, and just to get out of the house, because when you work at home all day, and if other people working at home listening know what I mean, you wake up, you put on your shirt because you're wearing the sweatpants, and you go to work. And if you don't make a plan for the evening, which it's not possible to make plans every night to go out, day goes into night. So I wanted to at least know that once a week or twice a week that I had somewhere to go, somewhere to do, and stop my day when I'm sitting here and go out. And then I went in, and it was all kinds of different people. And I walked in at first, and I was just like, I'm like, I don't usually have a problem talking. And all of a sudden I'm like, Like I didn't even know what to say. And then they have some exercises that break it down. And then after a little while, oh my God, I am just laughing. I'm thinking about whose line is it anyways with Drew
Yeah.
Carey.
Yep.
We're not as good as they are.
Yeah, it's
But
a great show.
and I'm with 14 strangers.
Yeah.
And I'm just relaxing. And then after like 6 or 8 weeks, everyone's gelling. We're all different people from different walks, people I probably wouldn't talk to or be friends with in a normal situation. And then I'm walking up on the stage and, whatever's said to do, whatever, we go right into it. And you're thinking off the top of your head, you can't be wrong. That's what I like about it. You can't be wrong. Right.
Yeah.
And everybody in the audience just hears what they want to hear, how they want to hear it, and laughing. But when you do what you do and then they're laughing, it's just further encouragement to keep going. Right. And like I said earlier, I'm a big believer in the laughing. We don't laugh. I want to laugh where my cheeks are hurting and I'm bolting over and my stomach hurts. And my biggest thing that I do wrong is I spend too much time on TikTok watching pranks and funny stuff. I don't watch misery. I don't watch the news.
Yep.
If I watch the news, I'll kill myself or somebody else. And but all the funny stuff, and then the funny stuff just gives you laughter. And when you're laughing, it puts you out there. And then you even remember something funny to tell someone, or you send it to someone to make them laugh.
That's right.
And then you just keep going. And when you're laughing, well, listen, you're out there, you're a relationship guy. When you're with somebody that you have a relationship with and you hit on something funny, you could do no bad.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. Yeah. We actually, for our podcast, Warren, we actually have now pretty standard thing we've been doing for years now, where we have a dad joke, right? And everybody knows dad jokes are horrible, and we're going for the most horrible.
Are they? I don't think so.
Hey, I'm a dad and I love them. But this is what I've been told. Okay.
Right. Mother jokes are worse. Don't mama joke me.
Yeah, exactly. But you're exactly right. Like it's just about that laughter, and there's actually science behind all of that as well. There's a ton of brain science that follows up on this. With that laughter, it reduces the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode, the vagus nerve when we're laughing. Just if you just sit there and just chuckle, if you're having a bad day, just sit there and just chuckle for no apparent reason. It's going to calm you down, but then it also releases dopamines, and now you want more of that laughter, right? It's why we watch the TikTok reels over and over again, because, oh, that was funny. I bet you the next one's going to be even funnier. And so if you can bring that into your daily life, into your daily business, people are going to be attracted to that, right? So I think that's a huge point that you make, that, just get out there. Don't take yourself too seriously, have some fun, and see what you attract in from that space, as opposed to the sad, serious misery. I love that the way you put that.
Yes, I remember at the office, I used to like hide in closets and hide around corners and jump out and scare people and just get their reaction. And it was all good until I did it to one guy with a pacemaker. And I couldn't do it after that. I felt a little bad,
Yeah.
But I told him to go have it adjusted so he could take a little more pressure. But, people jump and they look at you, but then they're laughing with you. And I think back to this one video that I saw, somebody at a bus stop who just starts laughing by themselves uncontrollably. And then before you know it, you've got, 14 other people at the bus stop laughing and looking around, and no one knows why they're laughing.
Yeah.
Right. And I think in our industry today, I actually want to come up with a 5-10 minute comedy routine for our industry, because there are so many crazy, stupid things that go on that I think we can make fun of. Right. But we're in a very stressful industry. Everything's about big CapEx, labor, cost of goods, consumables, customers, pricing. Pricing is all our own fault.
Yep.
Pricing is not the customer's fault. They could ask. We should say no.
Yep.
Right. It's like I was telling someone the other day. I said, how does anyone take an order for $40 and make an invoice? I don't care who you are, how automated you are. $40 is $40. You're in business, right? Yep. It's raise it. Sell them a T-shirt with something, or a pad, or you got to do something, because our as I was saying, our business is really stressful from everything we have to do. But when companies are humming and it's going well, it's the best industry in the world to be in.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy. Everybody's great. We're delivering stuff to people that they're using for their product launches, their brands, Right? Okay, saying brand. Why do people in our industry not market themselves?
That's a really good question. And it is funny because I'm one of those guys that I've always got some sort of a logo. I mean, I'm in the business, right? So I got to have, something that it shares, the people that I'm working with or my company. I've got on my cup here, right? There's my company logo, picture of me. So I don't. I think the reason is people are afraid to actually then kind of have to live that brand, right? So what I mean by that is if I'm out there sharing my company all the time and I'm talking about what my values are and I'm having fun and but then I have the day where I am cranky or whatever the case may be, right? Like I think internally we start to go, oh man, I can't share that. And then it becomes this play. And so I think it may go back to what we talked about a little bit ago about kind of that passion and fuel. Um, because to share your brand, to share your company is really just making people aware of what you do. And if you're excited about what you do, how is that a hard thing? I mean, that should just be kind of the natural part, natural extension of the conversation, right? So I think that's it. They don't connect the dots enough and realize that it's just a matter of being excited about what you do and that it's not you selling. It's not you in a, even though you are selling, it's not this thing about you trying to get something from them. It's about you sharing your gifts with others. And there's an exchange of value that's going to happen in the form of a sale. So that would be my take on it.
Yeah. So at a rudimentary level, I think, first of all, I don't think people think, but we are all selling something every day. There is not
Absolutely.
anyone in any business that isn't selling something, from the guy selling you bubble gum in the candy store to the post office selling you the stamps to your lawyer. Well, I don't want to get the lawyer, but
But they're selling their
right?
services, right?
Everybody is selling something because everything you do is a buy.
Yep.
So if you think about it, you should be good with it because it's happening to you 500 times a day, right? You're getting
Yep.
flashed. And you could have great days, but guess what? On a bad day, it's okay to say to someone, I'm having a bad day.
Yep.
And I've done it. Like someone, like this morning before we started recording, I mean,
Yep.
I was jumping up and down. I wasn't sure if you were even going to want to stay on with me. I was so excited, and but I've gotten up and I've had phone calls, and I said to someone, "Listen, I'm just going to be honest. Maybe we could talk a little later, or tell me." But I had a bad evening. I was up. It was this. It was that. My kid, my dog, my friend. Because we're human.
Yep.
And if you want to talk about relationships, when you are more open about
Yep.
how you feel with people you're talking to, you have the opportunity to have a better relationship because you're taking it up a notch as opposed to just the normal bullshit of the quick business and calling for the order and the little small talk.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
I start talking with people. First, I remember to give them a chance to talk also because I like to talk and the brain goes wild. But I try to hone in on what do they like? What do they do? What's their hobby? What's their passion? I could bring up a music thing because I can go on tour and see the Dead. I fish everywhere. Do you fish? Everyone's got a grandmother story. Everyone's got a grandfather story. Even if they don't fish, they have a fish story, right?
Yep.
And then as soon as you find that, actually, I'll give you the best thing that I ever, and if people have heard it, I don't care. You could hear it again because it's so good. It should be embedded in your brain. So my business card always said founder and fisherman. And it's not because I'm a genius. I was reading a magazine, a fishing magazine, obviously, and the editor wrote editor and angler. And I thought, wow, that's so cool. And I went in the company and I had everybody take their passion, hobby, and their title, and I made a business card for everyone. Even the pressman got a business card. He didn't get an email address, and he couldn't put a cell phone on it, but everyone got one, so they felt part of the team. But then when you go out in public with your card and you hand it to them, so greatest story of all time. I have two stories. Best one is I get an appointment with a CEO of a giant retail store, 1,000 stores, big. I knew the fellow a little. Anyways, I go into his office. I don't really get intimidated by a lot, but he's in there. He says, "Have a seat. You have 15 minutes," and his desk was like this long.
Yeah.
And then he says to me, I give him the card, and he goes, "Founder and fisherman." He goes, "Do you mean flounder?" And it was just like Fred Flintstone sitting in front of Mr. Slate. My voice went, yes, like it cracked. And I don't
Nice.
know where that came from, but my first thought in my head was, oh no, I'm in trouble now. And and he said, when he said, should it be flounder and fisherman or something? And I just said, oh,
Yeah.
you can call me whatever you want as long as you call me. He turned the screen around and he had a fish on the screen. And he said, I just got back from out west fishing Pacific salmon. We spent 45 minutes talking about salmon and fishing. And I noticed the skiing pictures on his wall, and I brought skiing in because I used to ski, whatever. So I had 15 minutes, he told me. We had an hour at the end, and he called in 2 VPs of marketing.
Yeah.
Right?
Amazing.
And
Yep.
I thought I had 15 minutes. So you never know. So really be yourself, put it out there. I just say to people, like, don't be afraid, right? You just, people are people. And if someone's rude to you, just don't deal with them again. That's not the type of person you want to deal with. There's enough people out there that you don't have to put up with someone you don't want.
Exactly.
Unless they have a lot of money and they're giving you really big orders. But you put that in another category, right? They're not your friend. It's a working relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
But,
and as long as you can work in that working relationship, then that's fine. Yeah. Yeah. I think, I see way too many people where, it's got to be done a certain way. I can't be who I am. Like all that stuff is not, in fact, it's the opposite, right? We actually inside of our success group, call it an uncommon mindset. We just have to ask one more question. And so being willing to, go into the fisherman's story or whatnot, right? Like my gig outside of printing is volleyball. And there's not a lot of people that want to talk volleyball, but some of my
you're not that tall, are you?
6'2".
Are you? Oh,
yeah,
maybe I was
6'1", 6'2"
Okay.
Yeah,
maybe you were bending over when I was standing next to you because you didn't seem that tall.
I'm not super tall, and honestly, that's why I didn't go as far. But I've always loved the sport of volleyball, and so, but I talk to a lot of people about it. That but then what happens is, oh well, I'm into baseball, I'm into this, right? And that builds that relationship. They could care less about volleyball. Most people could do. But the reality is, oh, well, or my, daughter's kid is on the volleyball team. And now you've built that connection and the rest of it just becomes so much more natural.
Yeah. And listen, I used to might be still like that a little bit. Like I used to meet people and size them up and right away say, he's no good. He's this, he's that, he's that. And then something happened where I said that about someone on a quick meet and didn't really have any time to chat. And we were wherever the situation we were at. And then another time rolls around and I find myself in a place and the same person's there and we end up chatting and we're spending an hour together for whatever. And I walked away after and I said to myself, Warren, you're an idiot. You got to stop doing that. You shouldn't talk about anybody unless you really know them.
Yeah.
Because an hour in, I was with the most amazing person I ever met in my life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And,
exactly.
And I learned from that, like really, we all say it, everybody, like judgment really is a bad thing when you're doing that.
Yep.
So I really go out of my way over the last few years of trying really hard not to do that. And when people even tell me things about, say, others, what I say back to them is, did they tell you that themselves that you heard it? Because if you didn't hear it from them, I don't really want to know.
Yeah.
Because if it's third, fourth hand, I don't even want to hear, because if I don't hear, then I don't know. If I don't know, then I can't repeat it by accident.
Yeah.
Because we all have a tendency of doing that, right? And I'm not saying it's easy. It's a lot of practice. It's a lot of biting your tongue. I have holes in my tongue. My teeth hurt, blood. But I feel better knowing that I do that. I feel better knowing that I think that way.
Yeah.
I love it. And it really goes back to the world is on fire. And we need to dial it back a little to where people could just communicate and not dig heels in and take a stand.
Yep, for sure. And you're not going to do that with your face in a phone, right? So,
no, exactly.
Going back to that, and I will add to that about the judgment thing in general, like not only just in your relationships, but like in all situations. And this is just a natural human function. We have to categorize things because we're taking so much information, and that's how our brain processes. But the reality is, the more, like you're doing, being more intentional about those things, the more intentional we can be to let go of all the labels, all the judgment, the better off we're going to be. Uh, you know, there's this old Chinese proverb, the Chinese farmer. I don't know if you've heard this one before. I can briefly share it with people. Basically, a farmer loses his prized horse. One day, all the neighbor people come and they say, "Oh my gosh, it's so terrible. You lost your prized horse." And he goes, "Maybe so, maybe not." The next day, 3 horses come back with his prized horse, and now he's got 4 horses. They all come, "Oh my gosh, they're so amazing." And he goes, "Maybe so, maybe not." Next day, his son is trying to break one of the wild horses and falls off the horse and breaks his leg. All the townspeople come, "Oh my gosh, it's so terrible." And he's like, "Maybe so, maybe not." The final bit is the next day, the army shows up, recruiting all of the able-bodied young men to go off to war, certainly to die. And he's got a broken leg. And so his son stays. Again, townspeople come, "Oh my God, it's so amazing." Maybe so, maybe not. Right. And so it's just that kind of idea that we don't actually know whether that's a good, bad, or indifferent result. So you get told no by what you think could be your next biggest customer, could be the best thing that ever happened to your company. And so how you take that information, once you've labeled it, though, there's no more value in that information. You've made the determination about what that means. Until we label it, we can go, "Oh, I can improve this," or maybe that's not the right fit for me. I can change my tact a little bit, all that kind of stuff. So I think, what you shared there was really important for people to understand in relationships, in your results, and everything that's happening in your business. If we can let go of the labels, I think we're going to be a lot better off.
Yeah, and I love what you just said. And really anything that happens, it should just be looked at as an experience,
Yeah.
right? And then you put all the experiences together and you learn from experiences. And then at different times, you're going to react different ways, maybe
Yep.
not. Everything's a maybe, maybe not, but there's no defined end of anything,
Yep.
right? You
That's
just
right.
kind of leave it open. You go with the flow. I've had people where I've called on them for the longest time. Like I'm calling on one guy every week, and he says, "Call me back, call me back." And like after a year, he says, "Oh, I think," he goes, "I think you've earned it. You should come see me now." And I go, "No, not interested." He goes, "But you've been calling me back every week." I'm like, "Yeah, that was just for me to see if I could break you. I don't want to deal with a person who makes me wait a year and 52 phone calls to come see him." I said, "Actually, if you feel the way you do, maybe you should come to my shop and see what I've been talking about."
Yeah.
And the guy's like, "Oh, it's hard to argue with that one." Right.
There
And
you
then I
go.
speak to others, and oh, this is a good one. I'm trying to sell somebody, and when I was a little younger, and the person keeps giving me this, that, telling me that. And then one day I say to him, "May I ask you a question?" And he says, "Sure." I said, "What do you tell your son when he comes home at 24 years old and he's working in a place and I repeat everything he's done to me?" I said, "What advice do you give your son, right, in those situations?"
Yeah.
And he says to me, "Do you think you're funny, eh?" And I said, "No, I'm serious." He goes, "Okay, so come see me tomorrow." He knew what he was doing, he had no answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I made him think about what he would tell his son, how to react, he was like, "Uh-oh." Anyways,
Yeah.
we went in, and he said to me, "You're good." He goes, "I like that." He goes, "You got me thinking, and you taught me something." And that
Good.
wasn't my plan. My plan was just to be the funny guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And after a while, I just get fed up, so I just keep pushing the
Yep.
buttons for fun. And
Love
in
it.
the end, what did I learn? Keep pushing buttons.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Always trying to be respectful and everything. You never want to
Sure.
do
Sure.
anything out of that,
Yeah. Absolutely. You exactly.
But
I love that. Yeah.
so
All the
many
learning we
things
can get.
out there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Wow. All right, we're coming up on the hour that just went by like 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, the only good thing is I'm going to pop onto your podcast in a little bit so we could pick up the conversation because I think
Yep.
it was a pretty good. I'm going to say it's probably one of the better conversations I've had, just being open straight, just going back with real life. We didn't have any plan coming on here.
Yep.
We just thought we're good at talking, so we'll figure out something. And and we covered a whole bunch of good, positive ground.
Yes. I
So that
agree.
was nice. So to everybody listening, and I sure hope you made it to the end, because you should always make it to the end, because the best stuff happens at the end.
Yep.
If you did, great. If you made it to the end, tell everyone else they should listen to the end. I had a great time. Aaron, thank you so much.
Yep. Thanks for having me. I had a great time as well. Yeah, I was just took a quick glance at the clock. I'm like, oh my gosh, we've been talking for this long. It feels like 5 minutes. That was amazing.
Yeah, no, it's good. So if you want to be on my show, give me a call. If you've got something to say, let me know. If you want to say something, but you don't want to say it and you want me to say it, no problem. I'm happy to say it. Just reach out. Have a great day. Enjoy. Until the next time. Cheers.